Hi, Neil. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. So tell me, what does it feel like to have the continued relevance of American Gods 20 years after it was published?
Honestly, I would have been happy if it was less relevant. Um, I when I wrote it 20 years ago, this world in which you're talking about the collision between old and new, in which you're talking about immigrants and what they brought to America and how they're perceived, in which I'm writing this huge, diverse cast of characters. I would have loved 20 years on if they made a TV show for all of this stuff to be irrelevant or to have been sorted out already. And the fact that it's actually spectacularly relevant right now is, I think it says less about my prescience and brilliance as an author and more about the fact that America, when you cut it in slices, is always America.
And you get to have some input into changing these characters and bringing new stories to characters that you created that are now relevant in this new world. How are you making those decisions? Especially, I think, with Bilquis. Her story is obviously much different.
I think, well, part of it was when we began, there were characters who, as you're beginning to say, okay, how do we open up a 600-page novel into 40 hours or more of television, you're going, okay, what characters can you use to tell more with? Bilquis basically has two scenes in the book.
Hmm.
Um, and in the second, she's killed. And one of the things that we knew from the word go was that she was going to be important. And we loved the idea of letting that play out slowly. In season one, she barely speaks. In season two, she steps up front and center. And finally, here we are in season three, and we really understand that we have somebody who is halfway between the old and the new. She comes from the old, but she, more than any of the old gods, understands the advantages and the attractions of the new. Which, I didn't want it to seem simplistic. I didn't want the idea of, okay, we have the old gods, they're the good guys, and we have the new gods, they're the bad guys, because it's not that simple for any of us in the world we're living in right now. We may be making sourdough bread at home with a sourdough starter that's 100 years old, but we're also keeping in touch on computer screens and using screens to communicate with. All of the stuff that the mixture of old and new is where we live. So for me, Bilquis was so important, and Yetide's performance as Bilquis just gets deeper and better and more important with every episode. Um, and also you have characters like Technical Boy, who is played by Bruce Langley, who, again, in the book, was the technical boy of 1998, 1999. He was the the archetypal overweight kid living in a basement somewhere, able to use computers, and very proud of himself for being able to order a pizza without talking to a human being. And now it's like, okay, what is the technical boy now? He's something else. This is the technical boy of iPhones and Pixels. This is the technical boy of Zoom, and he's a different thing entirely. So what does that mean? And updating him was a delight. But there are lots of things that you don't need to update. Going to Lakeside, a little Wisconsin village. I wrote it 20 years ago, based very much on the village, the little town that I'd moved to in Wisconsin 30 years ago. Some things never change.
Thank you so much for your time. I can't wait for people to see it.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Cut, please.